Hi, welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Amara. Welcome to the latest news update on the African continent. Focus on Liberia uses this particular opportunity to bring to you latest news on the continent, development, things that affect the continent. And we also come with length and breadth of news. We take news from the north, south, east, and west on the continent. We ensure that these news are clearly dissected. Focus on Liberia cares for you a lot, and in so doing, we try to abreast you with any type of latest development, especially news that have impact on our African continent. When you watch South Africa, we are a dynamic continent. Our countries, or the continent is interwoven. We suffered some amount of colonialism. We went through a period of renaissance, call it renaissance, honestly speaking, because we had some amount of changes into our culture, our behavioral patterns, and maybe we are now on the continent as Africans, but because of one or two circumstances, we are realizing that in fact, the possibility for us to behave in somehow foreign mentality is very high because of our civilization, the changes. So it affected almost everything that we do, what we think, what impact, what impact most of our countries are creating. So when you watch at all of this situation, you understand that maybe Africa is not behaving typically African because of those issues that they went through. Unfortunately for Africa, there is no country on the continent where the white man mentality has not been taught. Although cultural importation sometimes is beneficial to us because it enables us to learn about other people's culture, tradition. But unfortunately, we are colonized and our mentalities, we are westernized, and it changes our behavioral pattern whatsoever thing. So today now, we found ourselves maybe disadvantaged. You don't even know what type of culture, what type of tradition, what really belong to Africa. And even most people that are being given birth to on the continent now, maybe some people find it a bit weird, a bit strange to know what exactly should be happening and what shouldn't happen and what is typically African and those that are not typically African. So we try now to come with certain things that maybe should be known to Africa, and what are some of the things that maybe as Africans we need to take absolute care and control over, because we know it's a very difficult country full of dynamic mentality, very young population, and we see that we are now being affected by happenings on the global stage because we are not independent. When it comes to economic, politically, we are not independent. We have other directives coming from the Western world because of our disadvantageous position in terms of how strong our economies are. So today we have series of news headlines. We are first going to start. We have one in South Sudan. South Sudan is actually in the eastern part of Africa. The president, Salva-Kiir, has sacked the police chief on rumor that the country, maybe some people have the intention to overthrow the sitting government. And thinking about how South Sudan, the youngest country on the continent, we all understand how they fought bitter wars between North and South Sudan, and now we can say they are relatively peaceful compared to North Sudan. Unfortunately, North Sudan is at war with itself because we are now seeing Dagado and Hamdidi fighting among themselves who wants to control the government. We really don't know. Abuam and Hamdidi are definitely at loggerhead. So if South Sudan also rumors are emanating from South Sudan that there is an attempted coup, and the president Salva-Kiir has retaliated by sacking his police chief, and some other senior people have been rounded up. So it's very dire thing, and which need to be, because if South Sudan can be at war, or a coup attempt taking place, or coup stage in South Sudan when North Sudan is at war, I think we can just say the entire Sudanese empire will definitely go apart, and which will not really help for the development that we are thinking it should happen definitely. And both of those countries have definitely not tasted peace, and peace over there is a far-fetched mentality. Then we also watch at the southern part of Africa, Madagascar, a curfew has been declared when they have a slated election tomorrow because of one or two activities. Andry Rajoelina is about to be elected or wants a re-election. The opposition leaders and other people have definitely accused the person. In fact, they are even saying that the election is already being state managed and he definitely about to win, or we definitely win tomorrow. So the oppositions are calling upon the Madagascars not to participate into the election, to declare it, and to make sure that the government, the would-be government that may be elected, will not be a legitimized one or a legitimate government. If the government is not being legitimized, so it could force people to demonstrate and do whatsoever thing. So the opposition and the police are having some amount of crisis. Then we also check into the same in Central Africa, Zambia, we announcing opposition leaders also have been arrested in swoop attempt because the government is claiming that some nonchalant, non-conformist opposition leader who tend to maybe put the countries into chaos are inciting people both on media and into their other platform, calling for popular demonstration against the government because of inflation, on unemployment, and also high prices and one other thing, corruption, this, that. So the government has retaliated by even arresting the former defense minister and one or two things, and all of those people are part and parcel of the opposition. So the government has retaliated to doing that. Then the cousin of Robert Gibraltar, Emerson Mnangagwa, the current president of Zimbabwe, who ousted Robert Gibraltar, has been charged to court, and she's been fined $5,000, and she has been given 8 months suspended sentence. And from the Sangu group, it is alleged that they are not actually related by blood, but as long as they came from the same family, from the same tribe. So it has been alleged that the lady is a niece to Emerson Mnangagwa. So we are also seeing tight presidential race between Joseph Weah and Boakai of Liberia and that of George Weah. We also checked into this election result and see what is happening. Then finally, Oladipis is one of the popular rappers into Nigeria. Was one of the popular rappers into Nigeria who died at the age of 28. We also watch into that. So welcome to Focus on Liberia. As I'm saying, I'm Edward Amara, Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent. So let's start in South Sudan. South Sudan President Salva Kiir has fired the police chief as part of a move against security officers following reports of an attempted coup. That is what they are saying. So you see, leading security figures downplay the coup. That is what we normally see from African countries. Rumors that emerged over the weekend that Mr. Bakir or Mr. Kiir was on official visit to Riyadh for a summit. Riyadh is the capital city of Saudi Arabia. A day later, local media reported that 27 military and intelligence officers have been arrested. They were rounded up. Anyway, a 5-year civil war ended in peace in 2018. But the agreement is yet to be fully implemented, and the country still remains fragile. You have seen both Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. Riek Machar is the vice president, while Salva Kiir is the president. And the Dinka ethnic group, they form themselves into ethnic group. There is a kind of ethnicity, clan fighting against clan. Of course, we may not accuse them of religion. Is no longer part and parcel of their conflict, because majority of them are actually Christians and they are black. Unlike the northern part of Sudan, where we are seeing Arab dominated. When the war was actually, there was more like a religious and ethnic war. But now we are seeing more of region and ethnic war within South Sudan. And South Sudan, even the national army is not big enough compared to foreign forces into South Sudan. You have UN forces over there. You have AU and it's also other Southern African groups, Eastern African groups that are definitely into the country. So they have been helping to solidify peace. Unfortunately, Even the vice president has his own soldiers on his own, while the president has soldiers. So these militias, they combine themselves to form the government. And they have never been peaceful among themselves. They fight, rape have been taken place, extrajudicial killing has taken place. Of course, most of the country is being disturbed by flooding. There is rumor of famine. And we can say the executive of the country does not see in the same way. They do not speak any uniform language. And we have seen how a government of national unity has been formed between Riek Machar tribe and Salva Kiir tribe. They came together. But sometimes Salva Kiir can result into sacking some of the opposition leaders and who are holding maybe influential position within the government that have been resulting into series of crises. Of course, women, children are the victim at the end of the day. The country is the youngest country on the continent by norms, by default, whatsoever. And unfortunately, has never tasted peace. Many people were thinking that maybe if South Sudan can become independent of North Sudan, the country would have substantially gained peace and some momentum would have gained. Unfortunately, because of ongoing activities into the northern part of Sudan, South Sudan has actually been pressured maybe to accommodate some of these refugees. Of course, Salva Kiir and Riek Machar have been involved into peaceful negotiations. Saudi Arabia, and of course, we are seeing Russia influence into the country when the Wagner group was there. Unfortunately, this man, Prigozhin, has definitely lost his life. Saudi Arabia is still playing key role. Of course, Hamdok was forced to resign. So all of these things are there. So we are now seeing some issues going on into South Sudan that are actually affecting North Sudan. Any issue that happens into North Sudan also affects South Sudan. Then we see South Sudan depends on the oil that actually their main economic backbone is on the oil. Unfortunately, North Sudan, which houses the main hub of South Sudan oil, because the oil refineries whatsoever thing they emanate from there flowing towards South Sudan. Northern part of Sudan is actually at war, and South Sudan is like, it is just like when a testy fly sits on your scrotum sack. So you find it very difficult, because if you hit the testy fly high, you are going also to hurt yourself, because the scrotum sack also on the male is also very sensitive, and we end up to create another chaotic situation. So it's like they found themselves so difficult. Who should they support? And they also need to protect their own interest. But in supporting so, they may also create certain issues, and they also want to protect the type of oil, and they want to maintain unity into the country. So now they are being forced maybe to make peace. We are now hoping that that situation should definitely become minimized, and South Sudan should maybe have a peace on its own. Now let's come to Madagascar. This is all about Africa. Africa sometimes is very, very unpredictable, especially when it comes to electioneering process. And normally, some incumbents tend to be so wicked, and some of them, I wouldn't want to say they behave gullibly, but maybe so when power intoxicate them, they can do anything to ensure that they maintain such power. And most of them are political mongers, some of them are power mongers. They can do anything it takes for them to maintain that grip on power. And it has resulted into them even violating the constitution. Some of them definitely are violators of democracy. They tend to create series of havoc, which have most of their decisions end into pandemonium, and they will do everything they can to impose certain decisions, maybe to restrict freedom of opposition leaders, because they believe that without power they cannot live. And they wouldn't want to see a free and fair election, because they know that maybe most of what they have done during the time of their office did not actually go down well. They did not follow the social contract, and in the situation they allowed free and fair elections to be conducted, definitely the potential for them to be defeated or rejected by the polls by the very people that came with them into power could be very high. So in that doing, the result or most of them result into creating chaotic situation when it's the time of election. They involve draconian rules, using the police and other secret forces. And that is exactly what is being found today into Madagascar. Madagascar, we have the president, Andry Rajoelina, who succeeded Macrabel Manana some years back. Now, the elections are about to be held tomorrow. But before this time, we had when the oppositions were actually calling for the election to be postponed on allegation that the elections results were already stage managed or are already being stage managed. So it is just a matter of formality. And the president, Andry Rajoelina, will be ensured to continue his second term in office. Reason being, the electoral process has already been compromised. Of course, the Chief Electoral Commission denounced the report and distanced himself from any type of claim. The police did not do anything enough to investigate. The court system also could not maybe do anything further. And they retaliated on cracking down opposition leaders. Some of them have been assaulted. Some of them were tortured. Some of them were definitely taken to prison. Some are actually under police detention. Now tomorrow is the election day, which is Thursday. There is heavy curfew is being placed on the capital, Antananarivo. And they are claiming that people want to demonstrate, which could actually disturb the opposition policy. And overnight curfew have been imposed in Madagascar capital, Antananarivo, ahead of Thursday presidential election, which most opposition candidates have described as a fraud and are boycotting the election. And they're also calling upon their party members not to even vote or participate into the election, especially their sympathizers or their apologists. The country has been extremely tense with numerous opposition protests being despised by the police over the few weeks. Antananarivo's police chief said the curfew, according to the police chief, the curfew was necessary after what he called acts of sabotage, including the burning of a polling station. They burned down the polling station. President Andry Rajoelina is running for re-election, but 10 of the 12 opposition candidates have urged supporters not to vote. 10 of the 12 opposition candidates are now urging the supporters or their supporters not to vote, raising concern over the credibility of the election. So sad, Africa. Absolutely sad. When you watch at the length and breadth of Africa, it is almost always engulfed with problems, and people normally want to create problems because of selfish and unscrupulous interest. Let us also come into Zambia. 4 opposition politicians have been rounded up because of certain activities. You see, the government is definitely accusing them. Maybe we also have what we call sedition, which is actually bad, can lead to pandemonium. We all know what happened in Rwanda, 1994. And sedition is capable of creating some amount of issues. Of course, African leaders over the past few years have managed to enact certain laws that give them the absolute power, that draconian mentality, maybe to create certain issues that the opposition can easily be crippled. And because of certain circumstances, they use circumstances at their own disposal to ensure that they cripple certain opposition move. So in Zambia is the exact thing that's happening. 4 opposition politicians in Zambia, including a former justice minister, have been arrested by police over the last 24 hours for various offenses, including fueling concerns that democracy is under threat. That is what they are saying. Emmanuel Mwamba, one of the opposition leaders, that is from the Patriotic Front, was detained following a Facebook post which he called for anti-government demonstration. Does he really have that? If he does, did he go through the police? Did they give him an ultimatum? Or did they give him that order? Did he write any ultimatum? Was there any negotiation with ever an ultimatum like that? Or did he? These things we are not. You have to have police clearance, an ultimatum should be issued, and justification should be there. That is where all they are saying. The police said he was inciting hatred and violence. That is what the police are saying. He was being arrested because he was inciting hatred and violence, which is not good for African democracy. And they retaliated by the former Justice Minister given Lubanda, also of the PF, that is the Zambian Patriotic Front Party, was also accused of refusing to surrender his diplomatic passport Why? We don't know. As a third member, Raphael Nachibaba was also being charged with espionage, along with Socialist Party leader Mbempi, after they feature in a documentary broadcast by Zimbabwe state broadcaster following that the country's election in August. Following the country, see, the civil society groups, Catholic Church, and the Zambian Law Association have alleged that the democratic space is shaking in Zambia. The government denies the allegation. Sad. And Zambia is definitely not in East Africa, but it is in Central Africa. It's a landlocked country. We all know how the copper volume is dropping. So all of those things are affecting maybe the normality of how our state institutions have been run. Let's come to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is in southern part of Africa. The cousin of Emerson Mnangagwa has been ordered to pay $5,000 for making solid attempt to smuggle 6 kg of gold into the country that is actually worth over 330,000 United States dollars. A court in Zimbabwe has ordered a prominent businesswoman to pay a fine of $5,000 for trying to smuggle gold worth more than 330,000 United States dollars in a handbag. According to this so-called lady, when she was about to leave Zimbabwe for Saudi Arabia, for Qatar, Dubai, she forgot her. In Saudi Arabia, you go look at missing in Dubai. She actually, like the United Arab Emirates, she forgot her handbag and pick up the wrong handbag. So only God knows what Henrietta is saying. Henrietta actually is Zimbabwe's president niece, and she's also the head of the Miners Federation. She was given 18-month suspended sentence. But in the tradition of the Shona ethnic group in Zimbabwe, as long as Emerson Mnangagwa and her came from the same ethnic group, so by their own tradition or rating, she is considered to be the president's niece. But in actual fact, they are claiming that she's not related to Mr. President by blood, but because they came from the same region, from the same tribe, so they concluded that she's the president's niece. That is what they say. So Rothschild is also a strong party member. On key person like her, maybe will not be given lengthy jail time, and they will not allow her to suffer into jail. We all know how these people like protecting themselves when it comes to their own political party alliances. They can do anything to ensure that they do not obey the law system, and that law system have actually been violated on several occasions because of party loyalty. So let's go to the second to the last story. We are now seeing tribute have been paid all over Nigeria because of the death of Oladipis. Oladipis was a rapper into Nigeria, very popular one. He's full of political songs. He has sang songs against the ENSA demonstration, songs against corruption, and he was actually about to release his album when the young man suddenly lost his life. Of course, we all know how mobile death instigated demonstration across the country. Nobody knows what killed Oladipis, but the country is still in shock. His supporters are actually posting some messages on Instagram, expressing their grief and also expressing their condolences or sending condolences to the bereaved family. The cause of his death is unclear, but the post read they kept this battle within himself for 2 years. That is what they say. Because he kept the battle within himself for 2 years. Oladipis was a talented musician who rapped about political issues like the ENSAS, then protests against police brutality. You all know how the police in Nigeria are actually brutal because the Nigerian society is full of volatile mentality, and we have seen kidnapping, Boko Haram mentality, IPOB demonstration, the Biafran mentality, the movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta, as well as the Islamic State of West Africa, another banditry act where people kidnap for ransom, almost all on the rampage, that have exposed the Nigerian society to a series of demonstrations, sometimes which give the police the opportunity to use lethal action against innocent civilian. And ENSA was one of the police that we actually created, type of police in the Lekki community, a very rich community, and we actually used maybe to fight against crime, terrorism, whatsoever. Unfortunately, the unit of the police became so brutal, they abused their power, so people were calling for the police force to be disbanded. They retaliated by silencing the demonstration, using demonstrators or the protesters, using violence against their person. So women were killed, raped, and this Oladipo's actually rap music against such thing. Anyway, his stories are so touching on the Nigerian newspaper and all Newsline, Big Brother Nigeria, and all of that things. So Big Brother Ninja contestant, he won it and whatsoever things. All of those things are there. It's a very touching story. So Oladipo's death also came a few months back when a Mobile was killed, according to them, allegedly killed. But some people denying that they are not definitely connected to Mobile death. This is now throwing strong wave across that young country. And we're actually praying and hoping that talented asset on the continent in terms of human resources should not be living up at earlier stages as unexpected. When you watch at Africa, we have certain people who are very good at music. Some of them sing better songs. With all of those talents, the ground for things like that are definitely not ideal, and we have experienced series of maybe police brutality on the continent. And sometimes some people even claim that the most corrupt force on the African continent is the police. And almost in every country, sometimes people blame police. And the police are actually public civil servants. They should, by norms, protect lives and property. But unfortunately, in certain countries, you will see police becoming so brutal. Instead of them protecting life and properties, they will become the very violators of the said right. And do they have option at times? No, because the police is definitely part of the executive branch. They do not. Some police, I do know about certain police forces. They constitute themselves as little court. Instead of allowing the court system to do what they should be doing, the police unfortunately tend to maybe handle certain affairs that they shouldn't do, and too much confrontation between them and the populace have resulted. Although there are times most police are very diligent, they do their work very hard, and some of them have some of them have actually on several occasions become victims of mob justice. But that is why they are crying, and we are hoping and praying that this police force continue to maintain their unity, peace, and whatsoever thing maybe we watch out for them. They should actually come, and we want to see a police force that is actually independent, free. Let's see. Finally, in Liberia, just going to go through this tight presidential race between President Weah, George Weah, and one of the stringent politicians into Liberia, Joseph Boakai. Boakai actually has been in opposition for some amount of years now, and he actually succeeded to actually be the VP of Liberia for 12 good years, and today he still wants to get on the presidency of the country. So yesterday's election actually went peaceful with few isolated incidences. The election commission now has the levity to declare whosoever that will win on a simple majority basis. And we are definitely not expecting this particular result to take long, because it does not involve councillorship. There is no ward, there is no member of parliament, there is no senatorial election. We are only seeing presidential election. But the race is definitely expected to be very tight, very, very tight. and we are going to see how the election results are being declared. But let's see what the initial results are saying. Initial results from the presidential runoff election in Liberia point to an extremely tight race, with almost a quarter of the result in the opposition candidate, with almost a quarter of the results in, only a quarter of the result in. We have 4 quarters. Now only a quarter of the result in, almost quarter of the result in. Opposition candidate Joseph Weah and Boakai is just ahead of George Weah. Mr. Boakai so far has 50.7% as of the time that we are declaring the result today. Okay. Of the total valid vote cast, while Weah has 49.3%. 49.3% of the election commission has said anyway. In the first round, both men were also neck and neck, with the third place candidate securing just 2% of the total vote cast. The synergy about everything is that Liberia presidential runoff election does not have a kingmaker, because nobody did not even succeed to get over 3% or 3% of the total valid vote cast, apart from the leading candidate. So it is up to them to convince. Maybe it's up also to the Liberians to decide who should lead the country. And some people can even tell you that maybe the 2 leading candidates are the worst candidate. Boakai is so old. At 78, still yearning to become Liberia's president. What will he do in case he becomes elected? Maybe some people don't even support the Jeremiah, the running mate of Boakai. They do not even think that he has the caliber to lead the country. And unfortunately, Alexander Cummings could not pair with Boakai. Maybe he could have been a better choice to be the VP, and if they are to win the election, a businessman, well sophisticated, maybe connected, westernized, he would have been in position to have the background to direct certain things. Unfortunately, because of ego and failure to reach at a common ground, he contested the election. He could not even get 2% of the total valid vote cast. He come back to Weah, fantastic. A celebrity. He came with the mojo, the popularity. People trusted him. During his first time of office, he had been cried down because of unemployment, high inflation rate, insecurity, corruption, and even it has resulted into America sacking some of his people. And he still allowed those people who were sacked to run on the Unity Party, on the CDC party, and they won senatorial and some of them even won House of Representative election after they were being sanctioned by the United States government. So people think and feel that he's condoning corruption. In the first place, some people, supporters were calling for them to be expelled from the party. And when their corrupt nature were being exposed internationally. So had it not been the US intervention, maybe they wouldn't have been known, or nobody would have discovered the type of corrupt mentality or the type of corrupt syndicate that they are definitely running. Those people have been sacked, and they are under sanction not to ever go to America till their cases have been cleared, yet they have been elected into offices. So people think that Weah's failure, his first one, according to them, not me, according to what they read, he should not be given another opportunity to definitely lead the country. So if he wins again, it's like continuing the same failed system, and which Liberia is not yearning to reach. At the time in Liberia, in fact, the government was even paying civil servants when they get to their various banks account to withdraw money, to tell you that money is not available. The bank may end up giving you what they think and feel that they should give you because of lack of liquid cash. It also reached at a time we saw popular demonstration and the coup start coming. Unfortunately, in Africa or in politics, there is permanent interest but not permanent enemy. And the coup start also declared for George Weah, one who was his bitter enemy. He was calling across the street of Liberia, going on social media account, radio station, demanding that popular demonstration should be held against Mr. President. Mr. President should definitely leave the country. He was driven out of Liberia. He took the route into Sierra Leone, And the Liberian government was even asking Sierra Leone for them to release Henry Costa, but Sierra Leone thought it in their own wisdom and did not release Henry Costa. He found his way into Monrovia, and that same man came back again to say, oh, what? Let's get something doing. Let's get the president elected. So have you seen how maybe controversial, unpredictable, and ambiguous sometimes you watch at politics? It's a very sad event, very, very sad event. And now he could be elected. But he's still saying that he's connecting Liberia. He has brought life into the education system. He's constructing roads. He's believing in infrastructural development. He should be given time. And we Boakai is saying, let's rescue Liberia. So it is like rescuing Liberia and be given time. Let's see what may happen from now to Friday. But I strongly believe that in the space of 48 hours time, the president-elect will be declared. Thank you. It's been me, Amara Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, coming to you with the latest development on the African continent. Join me tomorrow, same place, same time, to give you another